An even more urgent battle looms. With millions of people still living in bondage, a hunger rises up to abolish slavery. Some of the most eloquent voices raised against slavery belong to escaped slaves like Frederick Douglass.
On this 4th of July, I will, in the name of humanity which is outraged, in the name of liberty which is fettered, in the name of the Constitution and the Bible which are disregarded and trampled upon, dare to call into question and to denounce everything that serves to perpetuate slavery, the great sin and shame of America.
Former slave Sojourner Truth speaks from the authority of her 6 decades.
But we'll have our rights. See if we don't. And you can't stop us from them. You may hiss as much as you like, but it is coming.
Their pain gives their words irrefutable power. With other abolitionists, black and white, they travel throughout the North, bringing the message of personal freedom, American freedom, to anyone who would listen. In 1852, a young Cincinnati woman named Harriet Beecher Stowe feels the need to speak out in a novel called Uncle Tom's Cabin, or Life Among the Lowly.
The object of these sketches is to awaken sympathy and feeling for the African race, as they exist among us, to show their wrongs and sorrows.
Uncle Tom's Cabin mesmerizes the nation, North and South. Selling 10,000 copies in 1 week and 300,000 in its first year, it rivals Thomas Paine's Common Sense in its extraordinary impact on America.
They talked about slavery as a sin, the white abolitionists did, and as a sin that had to be cut out, removed from American life, not as something that had to be gradually abolished, but as something that really had to be recognized as way beyond the bounds.
And in many ways, the movement became symbolically very, very important for all Americans who were pro-abolition. So in struggling for the freedom of African Americans, they were also, in a way, struggling for the principle that the most important freedom was freedom not to be under the power of another.
Now the trumpet is sounding. Bloody conflict is about to engulf the nation. By 1860, many Northerners opposed the institution of slavery, which the South takes as a direct threat to its idea of freedom. Nothing outrages Southerners more than the election of a man they hate, Abraham Lincoln. Southerners see Lincoln as a profound danger to their entire way of life. Yet Lincoln believes more in maintaining the Union than in ending slavery. As he declares in his first inaugural address,
I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where it exists. In your hands, my dissatisfied countrymen, and not in mine, is the momentous issue of civil war. Though passions may have strained, it must not break the bonds of our affection. the mystic cords of memory stretching from every battlefield and patriot grave to every living heart and hearthstone all over this broad land will swell the chorus of the Union.
It is too late. The bonds of affection are about to be shattered. April 1861. 11 southern states have seceded from the Union. Asks the president of the new Confederacy, Jefferson Davis,
"Will you be slaves or be independent? Will you consent to be robbed of your property?"
April 12th, Charleston, South Carolina. Confederate cannons are readied. At dawn, the rebel guns opened fire on the Union soldiers at Fort Sumter in the middle of the harbor. Mary Chestnut, wife of the Confederate commander, watches from her hotel.
I do not pretend to go to sleep. How can I? If the Union commander does not accept terms, the orders are, he shall be fired upon. I prayed as I never prayed before. There was a sound of stir all over the house, pattering of feet in the corridors. All seemed hurrying one way. The shells were bursting, the regular roar of the cannon. There it was. Prayers came from the women, imprecations from the men, and then a shell would light up a scene. We watched, and everybody wondered that Fort Sumter did not fire a shot.
After 34 hours, the fort lay in ruins. The Federal commander, Major Anderson, orders the flag lowered and a white bedsheet raised in its place. Two days later, on April 15th, Lincoln calls for 75,000 volunteers to form an army to defend the Union. No one expects the war would take very long to win, and they ask that the troops enlist for only 3 months. The optimism is unwarranted. In 5 long, bloody years, 620,000 men will die.
To the south, the Civil War marked a desperate struggle for survival. White Southerners were outnumbered, outproduced, outgunned, and most of them realized that they were fighting for a cause that much of the world had come to abhor. To actually defeat the South meant defeating its entire civilization. Lincoln, Grant, Sherman, people of that sort saw to that. They waged a total war, not a civilized war, not a gentleman's war.
In the fall of 1862, at Antietam Creek, outside Sharpsburg, Maryland, Confederate and Federal troops clash. It will be the single bloodiest day of the war. In the chaos, a single cornfield will change hands 13 times as General McClellan's Union Army of 60,000 engages Confederate forces under General Robert E. Lee. A Confederate officer captures the carnage.
The intrepid Union commander drew up in close rank and easy range and opened a galling fire upon my line. The first volley sent a ball through the calf of my right leg. On the right and left, my men were falling like trees in a hurricane. I was able to walk along the line and give encouragement to my resolute riflemen. I could not consent to leave them in such a crisis. A fourth ball ripped through my shoulder. I remember the pledge to General Lee that we would stay there till the battle ended and night came.
By the end of the day, nearly 6,000 men, Union and Confederate, have sacrificed their lives. 20,000 have suffered awful wounds. But there is no clear winner, despite the courage and the cost.